and one EMT, we're no longer gonna have that help. And it's gonna delay us getting that patient ready to go to the hospital. And what I'm talking about is, there's things that paramedics can do that EMTs can't do. And when you've got two paramedics working on somebody that's having a heart attack in full rest, you've got somebody that can look and assess while the other guy's looking and assessing, and they can do stuff without having to be instructed. If it's just a paramedic and EMT, a lot of times the paramedic's gonna have to instruct that EMT, and when we have no backup, we don't have the opportunity to do that.
So what are you saying the EMT can't do?
The EMT can't start an IV, they can't read
Okay,
the
the
monitor.
paramedic can do that while the
Okay.
EMT is doing something
When
else.
you've got somebody that is lying there and either in full rest, the paramedic needs to intubate the patient, they need to start an IV, they need to get them on a heart monitor, they need to be able to read the heart monitor.
But can't your EMT be putting on the heart monitor?
That's the only thing they can do, they can't intubate, they can't start an IV,
I
they can't
understand
draw
that, but
medicine.
they can get oxygen going, they can
But-
compress chest, can't they?
Anybody can compress the chest, the point I'm trying to make is, the
They can
critical,
also defibrillate if it's needed.
not if we're working on a patient, how can they defibrillate if they can't read the monitor? They're not trained to read the monitor. We don't operate with automatic defibrillators as paramedics.
But is
the
it
point-
better, to have one ALS truck? So you have one ALS and one EMT. So,
The point I'm
no,
trying-
hold on. Is it better to just have one truck with 2 people than to have 2 trucks with 4 people, with 3 of them being EMTs?
Does that solve your problem?
Though you're all still missing the point. The point I'm trying to make is, you work in a hospital.
It will help our budget for now.
When I ran in
Absolutely.
Lexington, we ran with 3 paramedics on an ambulance. And when I worked with the National Guard, our medics were never by themselves. When you're in a hospital, your nurses and doctors are never by themselves. If you put one ALS truck on out here, our paramedic is going to be by themselves all the time, and with no way to get backup. And one of the biggest misconceptions that we have right now is everybody keeps saying we need to repair our relationships. We don't have bad relationships with Grant County, Bratton County, Harrison County, Campbell County. The point that these counties are making, we're cutting our service because of money, and if that's the reason we're cutting our service, they're not gonna come over and help us save lives because it's a dollars issue to them.
Exactly right.
And all I'm saying is, stop thinking about the numbers, because at the end of the day, these crews have got to save lives, and sometimes, whether you're the best doctor in the world, or you're the best nurse in the world, or you're the best paramedic, or you're the best EMT, sometimes you need help. And when you put one paramedic in this county taking care of 3 or 2 BLS ambulances and nurses by themselves, somebody's gonna die, and when that happens, it's gonna be on your all's head. And that's all I'm saying. Take that into
You cannot
consideration.
say that that will be on our head.
Yes, I can, because
No,
you're gonna
you
make a
cannot.
decision.
No,
No, you cannot.
you can't put
If,
that on us.
if you cut the service, then whose fault is it?
Whose fault is it if we need 4?
If we need 4, if we don't change our service right now, we have 2 ALS units, we're not going to lose our mutual aid from our surrounding counties. They're cutting our mutual aid because we're making a deliberate act to cut our service and because of money.
With our 2 ambulances back and forth and the 2 ALS units, we rarely ever need mutual aid at all anyway. We're not gonna need 3 and 4 with the run volume that we have.
Well, then, Phil, we need to relook at the budget and do some cutting on the linen service and all these other little entities that are way overpriced, I think.
Well, and I mean, you could go line by line and we could question each one of them, but it's just like going from ALS to BLS with that truck, it's about a $49,000 savings, which that's $49,000, but that still don't solve our problem, but when we do that to our service, we're not gonna be able to come back next year and say, well, you know, we fixed this and that and something else, and now we wanna put the other ALS truck back on, and once you let your help go, you're not gonna be able to repair that.
We might be able to repair that. We're
I-
paying good salaries.
Well, I haven't been able to hire any for the last 2 years, and I, you know, if we, you know, let go of the good help that we have, if we're thinking 6 months or a year from now, we're gonna do something about this, I can't see disbanding it now and trying to fix it later.
Well, so the motion that we have as of right now is that we are down to 1 ALS ambulance 4 days a week.
Yeah,
And so that's the motion,
yeah.
that's where we stand. And that's
That was the decision.
budgeting our money. And so it's either that, or we do one ALS, one BLS, because right now we don't have the extra money to do 2 full-time ALSs.
We just
We just
needed,
don't.
we just needed what he just talked about just 2 hours ago. We had an 18-month-old in full arrest out here 2 hours ago. And both ambulances and the helicopter tried to take care of that one. And those are the situations, and you might say, well, that's just one, so we could let that one skip, but I don't think we can skip any of them.
So Rick, if the fiscal court takes over the ambulance payment, the $115,000 a year, would the fiscal court, and Darren, I'm including you too, sorry.
I'm not going to speak on behalf of the court. I respect your question, but I can't speak on behalf of the court.
I understand
I
that,
mean,
but maybe you can take that back to them.
Yeah, and that's what I'm here
If they
for.
take over our billing payment, would,
But is that all the money that, if we took over the building, 115,000, and we give you the 168?
If you did
Are we
that,
done?
we knocked that $60,000 off and.
No, I
get that
mean,
ambulance
this is going to be a done.
done and out, never, our expenses are never gonna go up in our.
Well,
revenue.
and
Is
Philip,
that
I
what
mean,
you're
there's got to
saying?
be, you've got to make some.
Well, the only thing I've heard
concessions
to cut is to cut the pay, so we're gonna take it
I-
off the employees back.
No,
I don't want
That's
You
what-
can't pay legally.
I've got a list here of all
You can't
kinds of
legally cut the pay.
suggestions, and
Yeah.
you can't do that.
I mean, that's
there's all
just
kinds of
ludicrous to even
suggestions.
talk about.
One of the things that I noticed was medical supplies. And the medical director, we're paying ours $10,000.
Mhm.
Nobody else is paying over 1,000 for a
For
year,
an ALS medical director?
for a medical
Well, we
director.
need to find another doctor.
We absolutely do.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
medical supplies, we're budgeted for 50. And some of them are doing it on $12,000 and $24,000.
Well, what do you, and I'm not saying this to be smart, but what do you think we're doing with the supplies? We just get what we use.
I don't know, are they shopping somewhere and getting them much cheaper than we are? I
Darren-
I don't
I asked
know.
Darren to
There's
come.
gotta be something.
I've got about 4 different vendors I use, and before I place an order, I check with the other 3 vendors to make sure this is the cheapest one. We're getting supplies from 4 different places to make sure that I get the cheapest 4x4.
So why are ours so much higher?
Probably because of our volume, maybe? Just throwing that out there. I know we're not selling it on the corner, I can guarantee you
Well,
that.
and Charlie O'Neill went through our purchasing procedures with him too, and said that the way we were doing it was an efficient way of buying supplies.
We get a lot, and I
And
think
he was an outside source that said.
Well, I'm just saying, there are other things to cut.
Yeah.
Did you say Southern Campbell serves 70 square miles?
I thought that's what he said.
Pendleton County has 281.
Well, I knew ours was significantly higher.
Well,
No,
that's
you
just,
can't,
Well, you gotta take
you're
out
not
Northern
comparing
County.
apples to apples.
yeah, that's like comparing.
Well,
Southern
Owen County is very similar. They're pretty much
They're
exactly,
small.
oh, no, their area of coverage is very similar to ours.
What's the rule on it?
I looked on our online, and I could be wrong, because not everything's correct, but Owen County has a hospital.
No, they do not.
It said, oh, it's closed, okay.
It's
All right,
closed for
yeah,
several
yeah, that's what I said, it showed it online.
The population be a factor on that, because Long County's only got 10,000 people in it.
Well, we're at 14,
We're 14.
yeah.
And Bracken County's at 7 or 8.
But their area
But
of
they cover
coverage,
Robertson County also.
that's Bracken County that covers Robertson
Bracken.
County.
Well, and that's like medical supplies, and Southern Campbell don't make half the runs that we make. You know, they got I don't know what their medical supplies is, but all of that enters into the amount of stuff that we use.
I'm just saying, there's gotta be some things we can cut.
Oh,
I mean, we have to come to a solution here. We can't just keep saying we can't. There are things that we have to be able to say that we can do to make some changes. I didn't say anything about cutting anybody's salaries, I just brought a comparison. There are things that we have to be able to cut, even if they do funding, we can't just keep going and going and going. We have to be smart with our money. Somebody has to be looking at this constantly.
I agree with that.
So can we make a list of things that we can possibly save money? Let's just make a list, and then we can mark them off and say, yes, we can, or no, we can't. I agree that we should compare other ambulance services to a point, but each ambulance service is gonna be unique, and we we can't say we can do what they do because we're not in their position, we're not in their situation. And so I agree, let's get ideas from other ambulance services, let's get ideas of how they save money. If we can incorporate it and save money, fine. If we can't, go on to the next item. But let's make a list of things that we think that we can, items where we can save money. Let's make a list.
Well,
Because we gotta start somewhere.
one of the things that, and Cindy mentioned laundry, and we discussed laundry a long time ago, but we used to get our laundry through the hospital and the care unit, and we picked it up there, and they stopped all of that because the hospital won't furnish laundry anymore. And so, and when we go to Pendleton County, we have to switch our laundry out in the ambulance that you used on the patient, we have to bring it back, and it goes in dirty laundry, it goes back. Any patient that our laundry machines does not sterilize laundry. So the issue is all these communicable diseases and whether somebody's got hepatitis or whatever, you know, you got bodily fluids on laundry, you bring it back, and we can't sterilize it, so if somebody else catches something from it, then that's the reason we use the laundry company that we do. And in order to save money, when the care unit stopped getting it, they would not deliver it anymore. They wanted $100 to bring it out here. And so when we order laundry, and I take my pickup truck once a month, and I drive to Florence and take the dirty laundry, and don't even charge the district for it. But as far as the cost of cleaning the laundry, that's the only cost that we have left in laundry. Because there's not even a delivery charge, because I'm the one picking it up.
Why did they stop doing the exchange when you took an ambulance?
Well, it was costing the hospital, and all the ambulances were doing that. So you can change your sheets on your bed when we go on your cot, but that's the only thing we can get, and we can't do that in Harrison County. And so all of the runs that we make to the other hospital, we have to bring it back here. We have to use our own that's out of our inventory here, because it gets back to the same laundry company if we throw it out down there, and it doesn't if we go the other way.
On office supplies, you have like $12,500. What do we use in office supplies besides office paper? We run tonight and ink. What other office supplies are you putting in that budget for that $12,500?
That's Vicky's.
All the toilet paper, towels, all the custodial supplies, office supplies, of course. What else do you order, Debbie? You probably know more than me what you get from Office Depot.
Well, we get paper and
Pen drives.
pen drives,
Printer
glue sticks, printer ink.
All the cleaning supplies that we use, because somebody asked me this a few weeks ago, is
Those
who
come
does
from
the cleaning? The
Cooper
cleaning's done by the crew, but we buy all the cleaning supplies that we use to clean the place.
We still go to Wyatt's and get stuff. We go like garbage bags.
Some of the stuff she gets through Cooper Wholesale,
Cooper
or
Wholesale.
stuff like that, because
We
it's
get
cheaper.
paper towels and toilet paper from them. We get like the big gallon jugs of dial soap,
Yeah. And the things that we use.
mop heads when they're.
When you have to sterilize and clean the ambulance out when it comes back, all that stuff, some of that, we get through them also.
Why is the ambulance, Rick? Darren? Why is the ambulance responsible for the property insurance? The ambulance.
It's actually, the building, if I'm not mistaken, is in your all's name, in the board's
The
name.
district.
We're within the district's name, we're just a co-signer.
Okay.
Ultimately, the county is responsible.
Well, the building insurance is another big chunk on top of that $115,000, you know, which is a added building expense.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
You questioned the laundry, but if you do away with that, you're gonna have to turn around and buy some kind of disposable sheets, correct? And are you gonna save if you do that?
Well, a couple of, I know the bodily fluids and all that stuff, I get it. But a couple of the other services we talked to, they laughed when we said about the laundry, because they do their own.
Maybe they have a sterilizing washing machine, you can buy
I don't
those,
know,
my,
they-
my washing machine
Yeah,
sterilizes.
it has to be cleaned at a certain
Like a
temperature
commercial.
for.
I mean, my home washing machine has a sterilized cycle on it.
Yeah.
But then comes the question, is who's gonna do the laundry?
I guess I'll come up to one.
Somebody's gonna have to come do it, because that would be a snowball. That would get thrown and left and.
I'm just throwing out.
I
there.
get it.
We need,
I get it.
And we need-
I get that.
We
I
need
get
your
that.
guys' input
But
just.
I can
as much.
foresee that being,
This year, this fiscal year, 2018-19, the laundry cost $1,700. That's a drop in the bucket,
Won't be
people.
able to buy a washer and dryer for that.
You won't buy a washer and dryer for that.
because
then
because of
you're-
the
and then
simple
you're
fact
charging
is that
and
we're trying
Clorox.
to stretch out how we order and when we order.
Yeah.
Well, and I've cut out all of the delivery, the transportation
The
costs.
washer and dryer
If you
that you
look,
have to buy.
if you look at your
The one we
budget
got tonight is for the
expenses.
annual, it's the whole year.
yeah, it's the annual. There's one thing on here that can be cut out, and that is the only thing that I think is maybe, a luxury, is cable TV, $2,500 a year. Now, you wanna cut that out?
Don't ask for much.
That's the
here.
only luxury on here.
Yeah.
The only
but there are
other
other
thing-
things that can be decreased, such as the medical director. And insurance, shop insurance, we're paying a lot more for insurance than other places are. And I'm talking about property insurance, ambulance insurance, there are cuts that we can look at doing other cuts, and little cuts add up to big cuts.
Okay, well, let me ask a question. You cut the medical director's salary, you'll have to put another EMT on.
No,
Plus
medical,
Philippus.
we're doctors.
He
Already
Dr.
Dr.
Smith. I'm not convinced that you can hire a doctor to do an ALS service and provide his DEA license for $1,000, but if you can, that's, yeah.
Well, maybe the other people lied to me, that's all I can say.
Well,
Maybe they just
I'm
lied.
not above asking, I just.
Well, I don't know, maybe they did.
The other thing is, when you do this laundry deal, you're gonna accept liability if something happens. Somebody contagious, or you get some kind of contagious disease, it's gonna come back through all that mess and it.
I got one for 500.
Well,
All
you
I'm
don't
saying
know,
is we need to look at each one of these line items and
see if there's
see
anything.
if there is anything we can.
And he is also QAing the reports that go in
Thing that we
for
want.
$500 a year.
Usually, medical director works off of the services, how many runs they have. So much plus how many runs they have.
I'm just telling you what the director told me. As a matter of fact, they kind of laughed when I told them what we were paying. They were like, no way.
And he sits in on all their board meetings.
Man, he's a good guy, we better hook him up. We better find him and hook him up.
It's Emory.
Him.
He lives in Bracken County. He lives in Bracken County.
That's probably why he's.
Well, he's doing theirs for 1,000. Owen County's getting theirs for 500.
Well, he does Campbell County.
And he does Campbell County's too.
I would
Was
take
that-
liability on $500, what these people are out there. 'Cause I would
Well,
be
you know what?
responsible.
That's exactly what Owen County director
Well,
told me,
yeah,
that they
I'm
pay their
not-
liability, they pay
yeah.
us liability.
I'm not doubting your word, I'm just saying, if I was a doctor with a DEA license and I had to be responsible for that.
Maybe
know,
they just
what
do
they
it for just the goodness of
And
their heart.
Maybe we could find somebody to do that, I don't know.
They're just doing it, they're just contracting
Out
it,
there, they
right?
can do whatever they
It
want.
happens, I mean, people do it.
I mean, it's not like Dr. Jack can do that, because you have to be certified in emergency services, you have to be an emergency physician. There's stipulations to what they are.
Well, maybe we could contact Emory, maybe he'd do it for us too.
Yeah, if he'll come over here and do it for $1,000, that would.
It's worth a shot, is it not?
He's a
Well,
good guy, I like
we
Harold.
may,
Crazy
we
not
may
to
need
do
an
it.
attorney too.
I agree with that too.
We charge the Southern 5,000.
Please?
Emory charges Southern 5,000.
Money.
Four, 500, charging the rich.
And I think I don't know, he charges Central and WD and all that, I'm sure. it's
Well,
anyway.
of course, that's not 5,000, but I know Dr. Smith, in order to help in the letter he sent last month, offered to, drop his to 7,500, just to help with the problem, but.
Well, if you get Dr. Emery for $500, you better jump on that, get the contracts.
I know all the years that we were, before we went ALS.
Owen County's the one paying 500, and I'm not sure who they're getting. Emory does Bracken County for
We
1,000.
do it for $1,500, shoot. We're costing, 10 or whatever.
I'm just saying, there are things that we need to do to shop.
I can save you $3,600 a year. There you go. That's a savings. I'll bring everything else in tomorrow. Oh, I gotta have this belongs to me. I'm not gonna listen to it, Dad. I don't need it. $3,600 a year is not gonna make or break me.
Well, apparently there are no,
I'm done. I'm done for
no options, no recommendations for anything positive. So I guess as it stands, we're at one ambulance for 4 days a month, or 4 days a week.
Maybe we ask Philip how the first week's gone here in July.
The night shifts are, of course, lower volume than day shifts, and the nights that we have been closed so far have not been a problem. But, you know, in the last 2 hours, we've had half a dozen runs, so I mean,
Why don't you give this to me?
you don't know when that may
You're in
hit.
charge.
But the,
I am not in charge.
the thing that the board
There's
is,
a key to the
okay.
cost cabinet, Philip.
The thing the board is gonna need to decide is, if you're going 4 full days every week, I gotta lay off an EMT night. So that's, you're gonna, if we've been doing 6 nights a week, depending on vacations, 7 nights, and if you wanna go down to the full 4 days every week, then the full-time EMT loses a job, because we don't have enough hours for them.
What's the projected salary savings for the month of July?
We had 24 12-hour shifts, that's 12 times 850.
I ran some preliminary figures with the 50,000 courts given, plus the 14 for the monthly contribution. After I pay these bills, you have
There was 88,000.
right at $46,000 in the bank
Okay.
to get you. It's been fun.
Uh, 24 is 12 times 850, yeah, about $10,000. And I don't know whether you want to continue doing it the way I'm doing it, so that we don't have to lay somebody off again, because we can pick up on extra days if we get several months down the road, and we see, I mean, I know our liability, workers' comp insurance went down $10,000. That was $10,000 we had to calculate on. So, you know, as you're watching the actual expenses go by, you could decide, you know, we get a few months into the year whether or not, you know, we have to go 4 full days. That's the way it calculated out, the way the budget looks. But you know, we were on our salary.
Yeah. What? Do you do those daily?
We do them every shift we come in. So they're getting done 4 days a week, 4 out of 7.
We were also told at one of the meetings that, the sooner you get them in, like if you have a lot of runs at the beginning of the month, if you get them in right away, there's usually
They're
more
done
money. Do
4
you
days, they're
notice
done at
anything?
least 4 days a week.
4 days.
They're not, there's
So
nothing
they're
that ever
not
lays,
done on a
no.
daily
No.
basis?
Well, no, because she and I are the only ones that do them.
Okay.
Right, our shifts follow each other, so basically she does it her day, I do it the next day, I come in.
Okay.
So it's constantly.
And we're making sure that we're getting everything in there that we possibly can get in there to get the highest amount of reimbursement.
They email us if we miss anything. You know,
Okay.
That's the purpose of Debbie and Carrie going through them on a daily basis and sending them. to
Yeah,
make sure all the
they told me that they go
information's
through them,
Yeah.
they look over and make sure that everything's in there.
And you can't lock a record report without like pertinent information.
the computer is
On
kind
the
of a
computer,
fail-safe.
because it'll pop up.
Yeah,
and
you
say
won't be able
what
to lock the run, which they wouldn't be able to build a run, which you
Right.
can't sync the run, so there's like 3 steps
Okay.
before you do it. So until you, like, you can't close it, you can't, it's called locking, it's unlocked or locked.
Yeah,
And
it would
that
just be
won't
like
work
at
if
the
they miss
hospital when
information.
we type in all the stuff,
Yeah.
it'll lock you out.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
then
with
they're
that.
telling you, like, if you have to, and there's all these parameters set, so like, you have to do an assessment, if you do a 12 lead, it gets transmitted over, like, it's gonna prompt you, like, you couldn't, the run couldn't be fully complete until you lock the run.
Jim, a couple other things that's talking about, where we're at, where we go. One of the things is if you look at the total annual report that we had tonight, the payroll's budgeted $705,000 and it was less than that. Our revenues that we budgeted, we were above that on our taxes. So all of those things factor into the total dollars we gotta save for the year. So, the board has to decide, but I would prefer to continue scheduling the way I did this month and do all I can and not lay somebody off. And we watch the budget from month to month and see if we're picking up or we're falling behind.
And Saturday night was extremely busy. So the northern had to come in. I personally wasn't the medic, but I came in the next day. And so, we just came off of an 18-month-old not breathing. So you can imagine how it feels to come and then go get 2 more runs. So you never know somebody might say, when's the busiest run? You don't know. Like, they say, when's the busy? Well, you don't know. You don't know if it's going to be on a holiday. You don't know if it's going to be, this was 3:30 in the morning, in the afternoon. And then the baby stops breathing.
We basically, it's not, I understand the financial problem we got, but we need the service we have. This county needs the service we have. And I don't know what the solutions are to the revenue. That's something, the fiscal court's gonna have to help her decide, but the service that we're given is what the citizens expect, and that's what they need. And, if you can't pay it, shut it down, but I think a lot of work needs to be done before we get that far.
I'd like to ask a question. As a taxpayer here, I'm an employee here, been here over 30 years. I'd like to know why this building was built.
I'm sorry, why?
Why this building was built. He
I
told me
wasn't on the board then.
where everybody jumps up and down. He just said 3 years ago we were financial problems. 3 years ago, somebody stood up and said, we can't build this building, we can't afford this building. But we built this building anyway. With the blessing of the court, the blessing of this one and that one, we built a building now we're $115,000 a year in debt for a building for the next 20 years that we could not afford.
I wasn't on the board then.
I know you weren't, but I'd just like an answer as a taxpayer why that was done. Because to me, this was a waste of my taxpayer dollar, then cut my service out to my family and friends for an ALS service. We need both ALS trucks. I was on the calls he's on today with that small kid, and I guarantee you, it wouldn't near as well if we hadn't had 2 medics there, believe me. Because I had to deal with the irrational mother and the family members and help the crew too with 4 people in the back of the truck.
And we were still able to let the mother see her child, and if you can't do that with 2 people.
So we built a building we can't afford, and it's gonna cost us to cut our service down. I just wanna know why it wasn't stopped. Rick, any ideas? You're the one
Well,
told
for
me
one
3.
thing, it needed to do
Your name's up there on that plat, just along with the judge. I mean, the judge should be here.
Hold on, let me explain. I was not on.
Well, I don't know how you got your name on the plat. You
I
paid to
don't
do
know.
that, I guess, but.
I guess, but the way, I can tell you right now, it still boils down to, you can look at the numbers all you want. The 168, if you took the 115 that the county gives out of 168, you're still running in the hole, it don't matter.
We were running the hole when we started this service back.
Well, that's what I'm
20,
saying,
30
so
years
it's
ago.
really not only the building.
The problem is, it wasn't flooded. It's not.
But the building is not the only issue.
It's the major issue. It cost you another $115,000 a year to build this building, plus we furnished this building with all that stuff. We
But
wasn't
that's
getting
part of
any of
the
that
payment.
stuff.
Yeah, that's
You know,
part of the payment,
so-
but I wasn't in on, because I didn't agree with
Well,
it.
everybody that's on that plaque in there had knowledge about it, and we still built the building as taxpayer, You know, we still build a building, which is all nice and fancy, but now we're gonna drop and have 2 people in this building.
Well, and you wasn't on there, but the thing about it is that the fiscal court
Approved it at the time.
approved it, signed the bond, they were in favor of
Well,
it.
I mean, if you wanna look at it, then look at the school system.
I know we
School
gotta
system
pay
did
the
the same
building
thing.
now, but-
Hold on, I don't wanna get all way off of, topic here, but school system did the same thing. They projected the growth of the county to be X, Y, and Z, and built onto the middle school, or built in middle school, built on both elementary schools, and rehab the high
And the growth
school.
didn't happen.
And bonded it for 2025 at a triple nickel tax, wasn't it? Triple nickel tax. And now the enrollment has dropped dramatically.
Yeah.
And
They're in trouble.
They did that back when?
About 4 or 5 years ago is when everybody was
Because
doing it.
the school board did this.
Not saying everybody was
Stick our head in the furnace and do it?
Pollard,
No.
they were projecting
It's ridiculous.
a growth spurt that didn't happen.
Well, we shouldn't project things that ain't there to project for money.
Jeff,
Just like you can't go buy a car.
on the call that you were on today with the child,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
if it
Shouldn't
had
have been
been just one
Nobody should have said
ALS,
that.
if the other one had been off shift, would you have rather had 2 EMTs available to you versus nobody?
No, I mean,
No?
you have to have.
But I'm just saying, if it's
No, so-
nobody or 2 EMTs, you'd rather have nobody.
Well,
No,
explain to her what your other medic was doing
So
while
you
you
have
were
to
doing
decide
your
who's gonna
ALS.
do the airway and who's
Sure,
gonna
I
take.
understand that, but I'm saying if it were down to 1 truck, if we were down to, if today when that call came in, if we were down to just 1, and the other ALS was off shift,
Well,
because we're eliminating the
Well, everything would have
ALSs.
been delayed, because I'd be the only one that would be able to do the advanced airway, the
Okay.
IO needle,
the point is,
calculate
you
the.
can't get
Right.
proper care.
You can't.
You can't
And
have
the
proper
point
care.
is
Okay,
that
but my
nobody,
question is,
Right.
if it was just 1 truck with a medic and an EMT,
right,
and.
nobody would have been able to drive. We would have had to stay there. Nobody would
So
have
that's
been
what
able
I'm
to drive.
saying, so wouldn't you have rather had another truck available with 2 EMTs that could have at least, somebody could
But what-
drive, because otherwise, the way we are now, we're down to 1 truck 4 full days a week.
I know,
And I would-
I'm dealing with
I
that.
would rather see an ALS and and a BLS as opposed to an ALS and nothing.
I know, but you're not.
No, I
seeing the
understand,
point.
I'm
So
not
the point
missing
is,
the
it's
point.
like, let's just take this run, simple this run. Do you know how, ask me how we transported this run. We transported this run with 2 paramedics and a nurse, no EMT. That is because this child did not have a palpable pulse, so they cannot fly because you can't do CPR in the helicopter. So the EMTs, everybody is a complete circle, but you can't say what's more important, the airway or the cardiac
Sure.
medication that's gonna start the heart.
Sure,
Sometimes, whether you have 2 trucks or not, we're the only people. Your crew is you can't even get anybody to come help you. So you're stuck, you're stationary there, you can't move, even if you get a pulse back. Sometimes we can't even get out of the hall, or out of the house, or whatever.
where did the nurse come from?
The helicopter.
Okay,
So they fly with a nurse and a paramedic. But
Okay.
my point is
Right.
that was a level care above me. That's a flight
Sure.
paramedic and a nurse.
right,
So I was controlling the airway,
right,
but we had to intubate, we had to start the IO, we had to calculate. And my point being, whether you have 2 crews or 4 crews, you know what matters the most? Is that we were able to secure everything and have that mother come in. Those are the times that mean something,
but
and I
what
know
would
you
have
have a
happened
grandchild.
had that happened on the shift that we had 1 truck only, and nobody else was here?
Well, the only options are you can still call for the helicopter.
Right.
I activated that in 4 minutes. I mean, probably,
Right.
that's what my times were. We would have to call out, or I would be in the back trying to beg. That's why we have the ventilators that we can hook up to breathe. If you can get them intubated, that doesn't mean that you can get them intubated and it stays. You have to have that tube secured so you can hook them up. And we don't have any CPR device or anything. There's times that if I was the only medic and it's raining and nobody else came or didn't come and react to 911 or nobody had their radio on, you could play all these scenarios. I would have been trying to do CPR and begging. I would not have been able to push medication because you can't do all of that.
Right.
Now, the EMT can't push the medication, but
what you're trying to portray, you know, I worked when I was the only medic in the EMT. And it's excruciating because you don't know which one's gonna be worse, you know? We have been functioning, I have been driving and providing, and I know everybody thinks, but this means something to me. I live in Boone County. Since 2002, I've been serving the citizens of Pendleton County. I have been driving from East Price Hill and now Burlington. I am a full-time paramedic, we all are educated, and it's heartbreaking to know that maybe you think we make too much money, but God, I'm telling you, you have a granddaughter, and I'm not trying to switch things, but this same thing could happen to you. And your daughter could have, we weren't allowing her to come in because we were trying to work so hard, and you're trying to do what you can. But I knew as a mother that once things were stable, that I had to let her. And I told Greg, let her in. She's got to come in. Now, nobody wanted to walk into the hospital, you know, after we get there, and the story was different, and when somebody's gonna die or whatever, it doesn't matter. But this county needs both ALS trucks. You can't determine, I can tell you a million times, when it never comes out. Easter Sunday, myself and another EMT are the only paramedic, the only ambulance, because the other ambulance was on another call. We get called to a 2-car accident. You don't really get any information because for whatever reason, KSP called it in. So you don't get what you're going to. You roll up and you're like, oh my gosh, you know. And I know I don't have this person. I can hear the radio. Northern Pendleton is gone. I mean, it takes years of experience to even be able to communicate with what services you need, what you don't need. I had to rely on the public. The heroin overdoses. You get this major car accident. You've got to quickly determine, are they on drugs? Do I need to give them Narcan? Did they have a cardiac arrest? Should I treat them with the Narcan? And those are the things that you have to do in a split second. Now, you can play all these scenarios, but the trucks need to be the whole. It doesn't work with the medic and the EMT. They're both equally. Everybody can show you all those protocol books, and I'm sure the numbers and everything, and I haven't been able to attend a meeting, and you know, we respect you, but when you're taking something away that we know, and I don't live down here. My gosh, I'm worried about the sheriff and all that stuff. I live in Burlington. I couldn't even tell you who but I'm involved in this county. I drive down here. I camp at Kincaid. Everybody knows that I work in Pendleton County. All of Northern Kentucky, they're calling me because they're like, what are they gonna do? You know, we advocate for the people. I don't, maybe that's not, there's no price to you, price to that?
The thing that happens is if we go down to one ALS truck there, you got that one medic every day of the week, all day is gonna be the only medic.
It's gonna be okay.
And the night shifts are the weakest as far as the run volume, and that's what we're shutting down, and that is less of a risk to me than doing away with that medic and having one, because that run beats you if you only got the one, and there's some like that every week.
And you can't leave because that one might not be as important to the next one. We had to go pick somebody else up. Somebody else, another run came in, Northern came in. Well, I can't be less assertive to that person that fell down because another one's coming behind me, and I know Northern's coming from 26 miles away. Whether the acuity is there or not, I still have to pick him up. I still have to take his vital signs. I still have to make sure he's okay. It's just, So Philip, the 4 24-hour shifts, you can do that just being down at night?
Well, no, not completely. That's what I said. If you want 4 full ones every week, we have to lay somebody off, and we have to. What I did, I'm off 6 nights this week. We were off 4 nights last week.
But that's the plan that you brought to us.
Well, that was
a month ago.
I explained that I was going to do the schedule that way, and it was okay with the board.
And we voted on it, but that's the plan that you brought to us, was to eliminate 4 24-hour shifts. That's what you brought to us, saying that's what would put us in budget.
That's what accumulates $175,000. Now, the fact that we saved $10,000 on the insurance, the fact that our revenue from taxes was like, and I'm not looking at the paper, but it was $25,000 or $30,000 more than what we budgeted last year. All of those things make that $175,000 less. And I don't know that if we just flat out look at the budget and we always figure conservative on revenue. we figure on the high side on the expenses, so, and we've tried to cut those, but so that we can make sure that we can manage the budget that we have. But I'm just saying that there's several things that could be added up from month to month, and maybe it takes 3.5 days. You know, maybe it takes 3 if we save here, and, you know, the property tax comes in more, it come in more last year. You know, we try not to overestimate that stuff so that we don't wind up in the short at the end. But I don't know that we're in the situation today that we need to lay somebody off and go hard for 4 people, or 4 shifts starting next month. I think that we're better off we saved $10,000 this month. I mean, that's $120,000 in a year. We managed to schedule that way for a few months, watch it. If we have to go heavier, then that's what we have to do. And maybe in the meantime, you know, Rick or Darren or the fiscal court, maybe, you know, we keep working on this, somebody comes up with a solution to help with this problem. You know, as Rick talked about insurance tax, he talked about payroll tax. I said, I wouldn't argue any tax what it is, but I've not had nobody come and ask me what's happening to our ambulance service and isn't willing to pay a little bit to make sure that we keep it like it is. And I don't know whether you need public hearings. I don't know what the political direction of that is, but, you know, for us to sit around here, a dozen people in a room and decide, well, we just don't need it because we can't afford it, I don't know that the public agrees with that.
The way I look at it is like I said a while ago. We can look at these budget and we can cut things, and I don't have an objection to doing that at all. But this county needs 2 ALS services. We've got the best people in the country working for us. We've got to come up with ways to do it, but we don't have a hospital. We're 40 miles from anything, in the middle of nowhere, and we need 2 ALS ambulances. Regardless of where we have to come up with the money, we've got to do it. The people expect to have good ambulance services. You're not gonna have anybody come in here with any kind of a company or anything that's gonna wanna stay here if they can't have good ambulance service. It just is not realistic. The first thing you know, they'll be somewhere else. They're not gonna come here. So, it don't matter whether they come here or not. That's beside the point. And we can cut this budget, we can cut things out of this budget. I don't have a problem with looking at all that. But this county needs 2 ALS service ambulances regardless of where it comes from. That's the bottom line. We got the best people. I don't want to lose nobody. But we got to do something to keep the 2 ALS ambulances, because 1 ALS, 1 BLS, it ain't gonna cut it where we're at. If you was down there in northern Kentucky where you got a hospital 10 miles away, you could get away with a whole lot of stuff that we can't get away with that.
You're absolutely right.
Or
You just
ambulance
can't do it.
service every 5 miles.
Well, different ones, but 2 medics. Now, you can't compare them, but there are 2 medics on that truck. 2 medics, you know, it's the standard of care is paramedic, ALS service. I mean, you can't, for 10 years, November 1st will be 10 years. I mean, I just don't know how you can just revert, because you can't.
We're just destroying everything we've worked so hard to get. We're destroying it over some money. We're gonna lose somebody over some dollars is what it's gonna come down to before it's over. I don't know who, where, or what. It may be.
But you don't know when, because
You
like
don't
you
know
said, you
when.
don't know when
But
emergencies
we
can happen.
can't do that to the people of this county. And it's just like he said, I don't see where the people would have a problem with trying to fund a good ambulance service. I can drive on a gravel road, my house could burn down, I got insurance, but you can't replace people. And I'm gonna stand firmly behind that till the end. I'm not gonna back down on it. I'm gonna go for 2 ALS ambulances, regardless of what we have to do to get it. I feel that strong about it. I've used you all have been to my parents' house, you've been in different places. A1 for every one of you. And the ones that ain't here, A1. Can't do any better than we've had for the last 10 years. And I can't see over a little bit of money tossing it all in the garbage can. That's exactly where it's headed. I don't have a problem with trying to work on this budget and cut things out of it. I don't have a problem with it at all. But we got to provide good ambulance service for this county regardless of what it costs, to a point. And it's all over a few dollars.
Before you all adjourn tonight, I didn't get a chance to say this. I do appreciate giving the opportunity to be able to speak to you tonight.
You're welcome.
So while you're down there in Frankfurt, can you get some extra money?
Actually, I don't know if y'all heard me say this, so when y'all mentioned the Medicare thing, everything will offer off of the following, the primary co-sponsor of, to do just that on Medicare. But it'll go into committee in January, and if it passes, which we feel like it's probably gonna pass, we don't know to what level, it wouldn't go into effect until, July 1st of 2020. But we are working on the Medicaid.
We can't make it till
The
then. You gotta make
Medicaid.
it quicker.
I'll see if I can.
Did you say Medicaid?
The billing, the,
Medicaid's all the state's got,
Yeah.
Medicare's.
Right,
Yeah,
okay. I thought
Medicaid,
first you said
Medicaid.
Medicare, but.
well, I
Medicaid,
get
okay,
confused, but it's the one the state controls, that's it.
okay, Medicaid.
Medicaid.
But that is being worked
Yeah,
on.
$110 is laughable.
Oh, the whole thing's laughable, and some of the statistics that the actuaries are showing us on that. But the problem is,
State government.
we're having the same argument that you're all having. I mean, like, debate, whatever you wanna call it, where's the money coming from? But at the end of the day, you can't expect these and it's not just Pendleton County, it's across the state. Every one of them's struggling because they go out and spend, and these are made up numbers just to throw a point, but they'll spend $1,000 and they give them $10 to reimburse them. I mean, especially the ones that's work in the healthcare field, they never compensate doctors, nurses, they don't compensate anybody right. And, but it's being looked at,
I agree with that.
and I hope that we can get something accomplished, but that's about all I can tell you on Frankfurt right now. Unless you wanna talk about pension, because that's what we talked about all day.
And the hospitals expects, I mean, we're not, they're expecting a level of care. I mean, they talk about us in the hospital because we do start the IV and we do treat the patient.
I remember the children should get, if you go to BLS and they ask you where
I know,
you're
but it's just, you gotta understand, it's just,
Don't
dude,
hold
you
back.
Fantastic job.
when you wanna try to.
Please don't take that away from this meeting. Nobody's questioning that.
It's just, when it's been 2 a.m., we've all been, most of us, and there's way longer than me, but, I mean, I've been in the chase car, I've responded from up north. I mean, you've watched it evolve. I watched us get the videos glide. We have aggressive protocols where more than most people are getting. So it's when you're advancing in your protocols and you're advancing in your care, and I mean, we win awards. I mean, or not awards, but we're recognized for things. And then you want to take, not personally, or find a solution to take down, or go down to one truck, a BLS truck, or one ALS truck. I mean,
That's frustrating.
it's personal because, and I don't live down here.
Believe me, it's frustrating to us
I mean,
too.
we all know how hard we work, and everybody worked to get this to where it's at, and to see it, when I
Well,
say
you
2
just-
steps forward and 3 steps back, it just.
You don't sit around here and be nervous about what call you're gonna get when you've got the group we got here right now to do it with, but you take part of that away, and,
It is
can you handle it, or are you just gonna,
Listen, I approached other counties to see how they were doing this, to see if we could find a solution to do it here. I did not do it to say that you all are making more money or too much money or whatever. Those are just findings that there's a whole list of findings that the board now has access to. Believe me, I want to find a solution.
And if you guys have any kind of suggestions, we're willing to listen. Because I don't want to cut down to just one ALS.
But it's being perceived
I
from
am-
our point of view that you're going one ALS and one BLS, and it's not gonna cut it. It's not gonna cut it.
I can make a suggestion on that, it's something y'all might consider.
Insurance
We
premium
did something
tax.
like this in Fayette County when I worked in the fire department. Now, this was an issue for the fire service, but they created a task force that was made up of well, in this case, it'd be made up of members of your all's board, members of the local government, members of the school board, employees of the service, and members of the fire and emergency services. Like a 10, 15-man task force to solely just look at how we're gonna fund this. And that way you're getting input from your firemen, your policemen, the people that use it all the time, and plus you're getting input from people stakeholders like the school system, your physical court, their stakeholder. You all are stakeholders because you're board members. You put all them together, and then hopefully you could brainstorm and come up with something to where y'all gonna have these meetings court will meet, y'all meet, y'all could go on forever. It might be more efficient to put that together, but, include people that, not only need the service and abuse service, but include the people that work in the service and help provide the service on the task force. I mean, numbers can be whatever, but 1 or 2 people from that work for the ambulance service. Somebody from Northern Pendleton Fire District, because they're a stakeholder, because they provide that service on that end. Get all your stakeholders around the table, create a task force, and go after the problem. That might be a suggestion.
And you ask fiscal court to fund it this year while that task force works for it. Because you've got this, you're all having to deal with the short-term problem that you can't solve because those decisions is beyond your all's power. It's at the state level, it's at the fiscal court, because so you all are trying to solve a problem you don't have the power to solve, unfortunately.
We can't create the money, we have no way of raising
Yeah.
the money, we can't change what we make.
But I don't think you either ask them long-term to just keep funding. I think Rick's right.
Yeah.
You can't just throw money at the problem without looking at the problem.
You need a long-term solution.
So you need Mark's suggestion to get everybody together, find the solution while you're funding it short-term.
Because I don't understand, and another franker question, and Mark didn't do this, but I mean, maybe it needs to be looked at, is why, and I told Rick this, the fiscal court, they can get a compensating rate. The library gets to raise their rates. The extension office and the school board, every board that calls taxes has an opportunity to either at least take a compensating rate to increase each year to keep up with expenses, and we're stuck. We've been stuck for 6 years. And why is this district different than all the other districts that you are not allowed to increase to help keep up with expenses? Because the district could do something about it if that was the case.
And when they created this, the way the statute that allowed them to establish this district mirrors the statute that allows them to create a fire district. There's 2 different processes, because Northern Pendleton Fire District, you raise a petition and people vote on it, and this was created by an action of the court. But both districts, when they wrote, because I asked this question, both districts, when they created the 2 statutes, because the districts were going to have similar functions, they wanted to be able to work on similar dollars. And the reason why they put the cap on it, at the time, it was the only way they could get the legislation passed, because most of the legislators didn't want to do something that would keep people's property taxes going up year after year after year. But it's high, I mean, these statutes were created 10, 20, 30 years ago, and our whole economy and everything is changing. It's a living being almost, and they've not even been looked at or addressed. Your question, honestly, God, just come to me today in an email from another fire district in my district that I represent, asking, is there something that can be done? And so it's now, we're going to raise it at the Public Protection Cabinet